I think that life is about to get a lot harder for a lot of people. And in this video, I want to explain to you how you can protect yourself from struggling and having a much lower quality of life in the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, whenever you retire, a much lower quality of life than you have right now. This is what the system is designed to do. If you stop working, if you don't work enough, if you don't work more, then your quality of life will drop because of inflation. No matter how much money you earn today, it won't be enough in the future if you continue to work and you don't have assets working on your behalf. And in this video, I want to explain to you what exactly I mean by this. Let's get started. If you saw my last video, you know that I'm posting a lot on X and I'm trying to grow my account and I'm trying to make $40,000 on X. That's my way of increasing my income. It's hard work, but I'm coming across a lot of different posts that show you the kind of mindset that people have right now. So you can see here, the middle class is being destroyed before our eyes. In America, you're either rich or you're financing your groceries on credit cards. This chart shows you exactly what the person in the tweet means. You can see here before COVID-19 and after COVID-19. So after the economy was opened again, you can see here there are two lines. Both of them were pretty much moving together before the lockdowns, but after the lockdowns and after people started going back out again, you can see here recovering industries, technology, retail, software services. So all of these industries are going up and to the right. So they're increasing, they're growing. While the other line, the orange line, even though before the recovery they were both moving together, the other line is going down. And these industries are travel, entertainment, hospitality, and food services. Now, you might be wondering how this relates to that post. The blue line is the people who own assets. Their net worth is increasing. They are seeing their wealth increase. They're getting wealthier. They're able to buy more of the things that they want. Whereas on the bottom, the people who are borrowing on credit cards to pay for groceries are losing their wealth. They're going to zero because they have to pay interest. They are not even able to fund their own lifestyle. And now they have to fund the lifestyles of the executives working at those credit card companies that they're borrowing from. So the wealthy are being paid interest. They're seeing compounding working for them, while the poor, the broke, the middle class that's being referred to in the post is seeing their net worth decrease, and they're the ones paying the interest. So their wealth, the people in the orange line, is moving to the people who are on the blue line. And who are the people on the blue line? They're the ones who own assets. They're the ones who own the shares of banks. They're the ones who own the shares of companies that are doing really, really well. The people who are getting poorer still have to pay for all the necessities, but the people in the blue, the people who are wealthy, are the ones who own the companies that produce those necessities. So back to the post, in America, you're either rich or you're financing your groceries on credit cards. There is no in between anymore, but we can change this. We must change this. I completely agree, and I have a solution for this. I posted this. The only way to change this is to move away from fiat currencies. Saving in Bitcoin and investing in yourself is the only way. And the reason why fiat currencies contribute to this K-shaped recovery is that there are either people who are financially illiterate or there are people who are financially literate. They're the opposite. People either understand how money works or they don't. They either pay interest or they receive it. They borrow money or they lend money. They hold on to cash or they buy assets. And the people who are holding on to cash, they value cash. They think that the cash is savings. They think that the cash will help them to pay for their expenses in a few years. Whereas the people who own assets know that cash can be printed out of thin air. Fiat currencies can be printed out of thin air. Any government issued currency is going to see an increase in its supply over time. So the people who are getting wealthier, the financially literate, the people in the blue, know that they shouldn't hold on to fiat currencies. They should get rid of their fiat currencies as soon as they possibly can because those fiat currencies are going to zero. The people in the orange truly believe that fiat currencies are worth something. They've never questioned it. They've never thought about it. They have no idea what money is, but they're okay with whatever their government and their teachers and their professors in university told them about money and how it works. They follow whatever the news tells them. They do whatever their financial advisor at the bank tells them to do. And even though they're doing everything right, the way that the system wants them to do it, they're still seeing themselves go broke. And it's because fiat currencies can be created out of nothing. You can create as many fiat currencies as you want to. And I just wanted to pause there quickly to let you know that I do one on one meetings. You can book a meeting with me in the link in the description below. You can also join my paid community. The link is in the pinned comment and in the description below. The people who are saving in fiat currencies are seeing themselves getting poorer over time. They don't know how, they don't know why. They blame the stores, they blame the companies, they blame everybody but the currency itself. But the problem here is that the currency is the thing that's losing value. The fiat currency is losing value because more of it is being added to the economy. And as more of it is added to the economy, it dilutes the value of any existing fiat currencies. I want to show you a quick graphic that I made a few years ago, just showing you how fiat currencies work. Let's say, for example, you own $5 to save all of it in your bank account, and the total amount of money in the world is $100. So you own 5% of the total amount of money in the world. A few years from now, let's say you still own $5. You've been holding on to that $5. You've been saving it and you've been doing whatever you can. You've been delaying gratification. In that time, all of that money in the world goes from $100 to $500. So the amount of money in the world has increased by 5 times, a 400% increase from $100 to $500. You went from owning 5% of the total money supply to owning 1%. Let's say when you own 5% of the total amount of money in the world, you can buy one basket of groceries. If the percentage that you own drops from 5% to 1%, you'll be able to buy a fraction of what you were able to buy before. So now let's say you only have that $5, you can only afford this 20% of a basket. How are you going to fund the rest of that basket? How are you going to buy the rest of that food? You can't, because you don't have the money to do so. And this is where that credit card comes in. So you go to the bank, you get a credit card, and you have a $10,000 limit, let's say, you start swiping it. Because if you can't afford food, then how are you going to feed your family? Your job isn't giving you a raise. You have to find another way to make money. So let's say you do another part time job. Eventually, the income from that part time job won't be enough because the supply of the money will continue to increase and it'll continue to increase. And the savings that you have will be nearly worthless because the value of the US dollar is decreasing. So the wealthy, the people on the blue line, understand that they shouldn't hold on to fiat currencies because they can be printed out of thin air. So what they do is they buy, let's say, houses, or they buy stocks, things that can't be printed. In more recent times, people who are holding precious metals are doing really, really well. And the point there is that stocks, real estate, precious metals, all those assets can't be printed out of thin air. So over time, you see that the supply of fiat currencies is constantly increasing. It'll constantly keep increasing. Whereas the supply of these assets, stocks, real estate, precious metals, it'll increase, but it can't be increased at will. If there's a demand from someone for 10 billion US dollars, the Federal Reserve will print those dollars and hand those 10 billion US dollars to that person so that they can spend it in the economy. So what's happening is 10 billion US dollars are added to the economy, but at the same time, the supply of assets isn't increasing at will. So you can't just increase the supply of stocks because you want to. You can't just increase the supply of housing because you want to. It takes time and effort to create more houses. You can print more stocks, but your shareholders might sell your stock and make it go down in value significantly. You also can't print precious metals. Precious metals have to be dug up from the earth. So to get precious metals, you have to put in time, effort, energy. Whereas to get more dollars, there's no time, effort, and energy required. One thing that these wealthy people do is they buy assets and then they borrow against them because they know that the bank can create more dollars. Whereas the people in the orange are just saving dollars. They're working for dollars and then they're holding on to them and they're keeping them in their bank account. I love to show this graphic because it shows you how much the value of the US dollar is going down. It continues to go down. It'll continue to go down forever. This trend is not going to stop. But how much value has the dollar lost since 1913? In 1913, the price of an ounce of gold was $20.67 US. You can see here that the price of gold today is over $4,600 per ounce, $4,629 per ounce. The exact same ounce of gold is now worth over 200 times more US dollars. This means that the US dollar has lost 99.5% of its value in terms of gold. It can buy 99.5% fewer ounces of gold. So back to the post here, saving in Bitcoin and investing in yourself is the only way. If we take a look at the wealth formula. You can see here, earn more, spend less, and invest the difference. So what you have to do here is you have to increase your income. And because the potential that you have for increasing your income is infinite, you can improve your lifestyle as much as you want to. On the other hand, if you were to cut your expenses, there's a limit to how much you can cut them. You can't cut your expenses at a certain point because your expenses are going to keep increasing and they're going to keep increasing. And you're going to eventually feel like you wasted your time cutting your expenses and you should have instead put that time into earning more money. The problem with being financially illiterate, or in the orange part of that chart that I showed you before, the problem with that is that even if you earn more and you spend less, you cut your expenses to the bone and you earn as much money as you possibly can. If you don't invest the difference, you're eventually going to go broke because the savings that you do accumulate are going to decrease in value over time. So let's say, for example, you're able to save $10,000 per month in a bank account and you're getting 0.1% in interest. If your monthly expenses are $5,000 and your expenses are rising at 7%, eventually your expenses are going to exceed your investments and you'll go broke. So I'll show you exactly what I mean here. So you save $10,000 per month, you have US dollars, you put it in a bank account, you earn 0.1%. Your expenses are $5,000 per month and they're growing at 7% per year. You can see here your savings are going to grow, and by 2035, you have $1 million. Think about how difficult that is. Saving $10,000 per month. You're able to put away more money in 10 years in your savings account than a lot of people earn their entire lives. So you put away $1.1 million. By 2045, you have $2.3 million. 2046, you have $2.4 million. And you can also see that your expenses increase over time. So they go from $5,000 a month or $60,000 a year to, in 10 years, $118,000 per year. And then 20 years from now, they're at $232,000 per year. And the thing that I want you to focus on is column number N, which is your number of years of savings. All this is the fiat value. So the amount of dollars that you've saved divided by your annual expenses. So in this case, $120,120 divided by $64,200 gives you 1.87 years of savings. So over time, you can see here it increases, but eventually the growth slows down. So it goes from 0 years to 2 years to 4 years, 6, 8, 10. And then you can see as we scroll down, it goes from 10 to 10.96, and then it starts decreasing. And the reason for this is that your expenses are growing faster than your savings. Your savings are growing at 0.1%, while your expenses are growing at 7% per year. So you can see here at one point in 2042, you have $1.94 million. You feel pretty good. You have 10 years worth of savings. But at this point, your expenses start accelerating, and they start accelerating to $200,000 per year. Then they go to $300,000 per year. Then they go to $500,000 per year. And they keep growing, and they'll keep growing forever. And eventually, if we go back to column N, you can see you're going to go from 10 years of expenses to 7 years of expenses, 5 years of expenses, 4, 3, 2, and then 1 year of expenses. You went from 10 years of expenses to 1 year of expenses just because the value of your savings is growing slower than the value of your expenses. The amount that you're spending is growing much, much faster than the savings that you have. So you can see here in 2100, your annual expenses are $8.9 million, but your savings are at $9.2 million. I know most people watching this probably aren't going to be alive in the year 2100, but this is information that you should be passing to your children and your grandchildren and your great grandchildren so that the people who come after you are financially literate and they don't have to suffer like the majority of people are right now. I think the best thing that you can do is save in something like Bitcoin. And back to the post, you can see here, saving in Bitcoin and investing yourself is the only way. The reason why I suggest that you buy Bitcoin is because it has a finite supply. In terms of US dollars, it will continue to rise forever. And I think that it'll probably rise at 25, 30, 40, 50% per year for a very, very long time until the US dollar really goes to zero, and nobody wants to hold it. And I want to show you an example of a fiat currency that recently went to zero, the Iranian rial compared to the US dollar. You can see here 0 US dollars. It went from 0.000031 US dollars, so a fraction of a penny, to literally zero because nobody wants to accept Iranian reals anymore. The political system doesn't seem to be very stable, meaning that people lose trust in the banking system and they don't want this currency. They don't trade goods and services for it. So anybody who had this currency now has nothing. Now back to the post here. The reason why I want you to save in Bitcoin is because nobody controls it, nobody can stop it, and nobody can increase the supply. Historically, Bitcoin has given something like a 40 to 50% return per year. Let's go conservative. Let's go 25% per year. And you're able to save $10,000 per year going forward. I know this isn't doable for everybody, but let me just give you this example. You save $10,000 and your savings keep growing. The fiat balance keeps growing and growing until at some point you have $10 million. That's in 2039. But let's see how your years of savings performs here. You can see you go from 0 years to 2 years to 5 years to 8 years to 11 years, and it keeps growing, keeps growing. Your savings will cover you for a longer time because Bitcoin has a significantly higher return than your expenses are growing at. So if your expenses are growing at 7% per year, but your Bitcoin's growing at 25% per year, you have that 18% gap that gives you financial freedom. So you can see here the number of years that you're accumulating every single year is increasing. You're going from, let's say, 0 to 2 in year 1 to 303 years of savings to 355 years of savings in 2048. And of course, I know this isn't realistic. So let's go with something more realistic. We'll go with $50 per month. Let's say you can save $50 per month in Bitcoin. If you can save $50 per month in Bitcoin, you can see here, you're going to go from 0 years of savings to 1 year of savings. And that's going to take you about 20 years. But after that, because you have the Bitcoin already, your years of savings accelerates. It grows much, much faster. So you go from 1.1 years of savings in 2046 to 2 years of savings in 2050. And then in 2053, you have 3.3 years of savings. In 2055, you have 4.5 years of savings. And this number keeps growing forever because your savings are growing faster than your expenses. Even by saving such a small amount every single month, eventually you have 21 years of expenses saved. This is in 2065. I would assume that along the way, you're probably going to find some way to increase your savings and you're going to find some way to put more money into Bitcoin every single year, meaning that you can actually bring this much, much closer. So instead of $50 per month, let's say you're able to average out about $250 per month because you're getting raises, you're able to get dollars more easily. You can see here, years of savings reaches 20 years. So the number of years of savings that you have accumulated reaches 20 years in 2054 instead of that first example where it was about 2065. So by increasing the amount that you save, by increasing your income, what you're doing is you're bringing retirement closer. And the response I got to this is, oh yeah, because my employer will pay me in Bitcoin and the grocery store will take it and the car mechanic and dot, dot, dot. This is the mindset that makes the poor even poorer. They want to save in something that they can use at the grocery store. They don't want to do the research to buy assets. They don't want to buy stocks, real estate. They don't want to buy something like Bitcoin because they think that they must be able to transact with this thing, whatever it is, to be able to save in it. I would assume that that person isn't buying stocks and real estate because if they don't want to save in something that can't be used as money, then they're definitely not investing in assets. I truly believe that mindset is everything, and that's what contributes to this K-shaped recovery. If you have the mindset that you're going to lose, then you're not going to invest, you're not going to take the risk. So what's going to happen to you is instead of you having a chance of making money, you're guaranteed to lose money because the US dollar is worthless and it can be printed out of thin air. More and more dollars will continue to be added to the economy, and the value of the dollars that exist will continue to trend to zero. So the initial post was correct. There is no in between anymore. There are the haves and there are the have nots. Most people will be the have nots because they haven't studied how money works. The wealthy have assets that they can borrow against to pay for their expenses, while the poor use credit cards and they accumulate balances and they pay 20% interest, while the interest rate on that line of credit that you're going to get against your house or against your Bitcoin may be 10%. The best thing that you can do here is buy assets. I personally like Bitcoin the most. If you want to go buy stocks, if you want to buy real estate, if you want to buy precious metals, you go ahead and do that as long as they're growing faster than your expenses are growing. If you want my thoughts on how to borrow against your assets after you own them, you can watch this video here.